What if the future wasn't being written in California anymore, but in Shenzhen? While the West celebrated its tech unicorns, something invisible was being built. A transformation so profound that even the most astute analysts missed it. Here's why the West is wrong about China, and why this mistake could cost it global leadership. 2015, Western experts are categorical. China copies, it doesn't innovate. This phrase was repeated in every think tank, every conference, every strategic report. It became an absolute truth. The obsession with GAFAM created a massive blind spot. The West was watching its own champions. It measured innovation by its own standards. Disruptive startups, record fundraising, astronomical valuations. Meanwhile, China was building something else. Not viral apps, not social networks. It was building the infrastructure of the future. The bias was simple but fatal, believing that innovation can only come from a classical liberal model. When Beijing announced $1.4 trillion in semiconductors, the West saw state waste. When China launched its Made in China 2025 plan, it was perceived as propaganda. And here's the point nobody saw coming. Because while Westerners debated free speech on Twitter, China installed 600 million smart cameras. While they discussed big tech regulation, it deployed 5G in 300 cities. But while the West was looking elsewhere, China was building something invisible. China is no longer catching up. It's projecting forward. And this reality upends every geopolitical model the West has built over the past 30 years. First pillar, semiconductors. When the United States banned Huawei from accessing advanced chips in 2019, the objective was clear: kill China's technological ascent. The result? The exact opposite. China invested massively. It recruited the best engineers. Today, it produces 7-nanometer chips without access to Western machines, a feat deemed impossible 3 years ago. This is where everything shifts. Second pillar, applied artificial intelligence. The West develops AI for chatbots. China deploys AI to optimize its supply chains, predict industrial failures, manage urban traffic in real time. In Hangzhou, an AI manages traffic lights across the entire city. Result? 15% less congestion. This isn't science fiction, it's massive deployment at the scale of 1.5 billion people. Third pillar, smart cities. China already has 500 operational smart cities, entire cities where every infrastructure is connected, monitored, optimized. The West is still experimenting. China is industrializing. Fourth pillar, sovereign connectivity. 5G deployed at unimaginable speed. 6G in preparation. Fully secured national cloud, controlled undersea cables. Fifth pillar, hardware dominance. BYD surpasses Tesla in volume. DJI controls 70% of the global civilian drone market. CATL produces 37% of the world's EV batteries. China builds more high-speed rail lines in 3 years than Europe in 30 years. And it directly affects your life, your smartphone, your electric car, your electricity. Everything now depends on Chinese value chains. If tomorrow Beijing restricts the export of batteries or rare earths, the Western economy collapses within 6 months. And it's not the technology that gives the advantage, it's something deeper.
The real secret of China's advance isn't technological, it's structural. China has created what no Western country can replicate. The platform state. Imagine a system where the state isn't a bureaucratic brake, but a direct accelerator, where strategic decisions are made in weeks, not years. This hybrid model combines centralized planning and decentralized execution. The state sets strategic objectives. Provinces compete to achieve them as quickly as possible. No lobby to block electric vehicles, no endless parliamentary debate, no protests against data centers. Wait until you see what happens next. Execution speed becomes a decisive advantage. While Europe drafts AI regulation, China deploys 50 million additional smart cameras. And this planning doesn't happen on 4-year electoral cycles. It projects 30 years ahead. The China Standards 2035 plan aims to define global technology standards within a decade. Even Jensen Huang of NVIDIA said it publicly. China is advancing at a speed nobody truly understands. Every year, China trains 5 million engineers, the United States 500,000. The ratio is 1 to 10. Over 20 years, the battle for human capital is already decided. The West clings to its model, China created its own, and it works. The awakening will be brutal. Because China's advance isn't limited to smartphones and electric cars, it touches strategic sectors the West thought impregnable. Military technologies. China tests hypersonic missiles that the United States can't intercept. It develops autonomous swarm drones. It deploys electronic warfare systems that render Western defenses obsolete. The Pentagon admitted it. In certain areas, China now has a generation's advance. Material dependence affecting your life. 80% of solar panels, 75% of lithium-ion batteries, 60% of critical electronic components. Your iPhone, your Tesla, your computer, everything depends on China. And this is where it gets really concerning. If tomorrow Beijing applies the same sanctions as Washington, your electricity price doubles. Your next smartphone costs twice as much. Millions of jobs disappear. Intellectual rise. Tsinghua and Peking publish more AI papers than Stanford and MIT combined. They file more patents in quantum technologies than all of Europe. The center of gravity of global research is shifting. Value chain collapse. Western companies that outsourced discovered they've created their own competitors. Apple depends on Foxconn. Tesla depends on CATL. NVIDIA depends on TSMC, itself under Chinese pressure. The question is no longer how to catch up with China. The question has become how not to be completely left behind. For the first time in a century, the West is no longer the technological locomotive of the world. What if the question was no longer catching up with China, but not falling completely behind? The West sees China as it was, not as it has become. It still perceives it through 20th century grids, developing country, world's workshop, compulsive copycat. But this image is dead. It belongs to the past. Today's China innovates, projects, dominates. It no longer follows Western standards. It creates its own. And while Western democracies debate, hesitate, consult, China builds. The future is shifting. It doesn't ask permission, it doesn't warn, it happens. The real question isn't whether China will succeed. It's whether the West still has the capacity to adapt. Because history doesn't care about intentions. It rewards execution. What if the real danger wasn't China, but our inability to change? What if the real battle wasn't technological, but cultural? If you want to understand the forces reshaping the world right now, the disruptions nobody sees coming, the strategies mainstream media don't analyze, subscribe. Because the future doesn't announce itself, it prepares itself.